everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Vanessa. If you're new here, I am a fantasy, paranormal, and horror writer, diversity reader, and book publisher. And on my channel, I talk about everything books, writing, and everything related to storytelling. So today's video is going to be part of my diversity. I usually do a diversity in film. This one is diversity in TV video, and I am here with Teresa, my lovely co-host from Diversity is Lit, which I also did an interview with her for my Writer Diversity series a while back. You guys could go check that out. And we're here talking about the season finales for Law and Order, SVU, and Organized Crime. So before we jump into that, I want to give Teresa a moment to say hi. And for anyone watching this live, comment in the chat box and let us know you're here.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Teresa Beasley. I write young adult and adult thriller mysteries. I'm also a podcaster over at A Reader's Book Corner, which is on Spotify and some other channels. So feel free to look that up. And I am excited to talk about the finale for both shows.
Awesome. And I see Heather joining us in the comments. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Glad you could join us here. Heather is another co-host of Diversity is Lit. So, yeah, glad you could join. So we are talking about the diversity in organized crime and SVU, particularly in the season finales, and some things that we have noticed. So I guess we'll start with, usually SVU comes on before organized crime. So
yeah,
start there. And just, do you want to start with your overall thoughts on the finale, Teresa?
For Law and Order SVU, my overall thoughts were, for one, this all starts off of a website that you can pay to have these random acts done. Whether it's kill someone, rape someone, beat them up real bad, just all these just random acts. You can go onto this website called Shadow Works to get it done. So this kind of all starts from this whole website, which, okay, I thought was a good plot idea. But then as you get into the show, you start seeing the acts, or some of the acts you can see done, but then they start depicting Black men as being violent and dangerous in them. Some of the acts were done by Caucasians, but the variety of the acts were done by Black men, or there was also a Latino gentleman that was one of the people that did the acts. So the diversity for me came in when those people were displayed in the things that they were asking the victims to do. And it just seemed like the Black men were being depicted as these very dangerous people, and the other nationalities were depicted kind of lightly. But it was like when they got onto the site and the person picked up, okay, I'm going to take this job, it was Black men being depicted as very violent and dangerous, which I didn't really care for in the show. Which, I love SVU. I've been watching it for years. I've watched all 24 seasons, but this particular season finale just hit me a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it hit you that way too, but it kind of hit me a different way.
Yeah. And I agree with what Heather said. It's wild.
Yes.
The website and everything. Um, and yeah, it did hit me a different way as well because, um, like you, Teresa, I've been watching SVU for years, since I was a kid, actually, and
Yes.
I love SVU. Um, doesn't mean it doesn't have its issues and problems, but
Yep.
normally I love it. But this this time, I so I did notice what you were saying with the black men being depicted as predators, and I actually noted specific, like two specific instances that kind of stood out to me. And so one was in the beginning of the first Law and Order episode. Um,
Hmm.
for those that may be watching this and haven't seen the finale episodes yet, um, well, first off, there will be spoilers in this.
Yes.
We're going to talk about major spoilers. So if you're okay with that, good. But one thing I'll say is with the finale, it was a 2 week finale, so it started. So we actually have 4 episodes in total
Oh
here.
yeah. Yeah.
It started off with SVU, um, with the rape in the hotel, and then
Hmm.
goes to organize. It connects to organized crime, and then finally the next week, the final week, is when we find out who's behind the shadow work website. And again, we start off with SVU and then go to organized crime. Now, with the first SVU episode, um, when the detectives are talking to the hotel clerk who gave the key,
Key.
the key to the hotel room that the victim was in that he raped. When she's describing uh, the suspect to the detectives, um, she said he's black, average height, and then she makes it a point to say he didn't look scary, which to me, they I don't think this was intentional. Or at least I hope it wasn't intentional on SVU's part. But to me, having her say he didn't look scary implies that black men typically look
Are
scary.
scared. Hmm.
They look scary, they are scary, they're dangerous. And so to me, that was sort of implying, well, I'm not racist. I didn't stereotype him because I didn't think he looked scary,
Scary. Yeah.
even though he then turned out to be a dangerous rapist.
Yeah.
Um, and then the same thing happened again in the second SVU episode, where we see the same victim from the first episode, the first victim who was raped in her hotel room. She
Yeah.
raped again. This time it's out in public, and it's by another black guy, a different black guy from the first. And this one was not connected to the Shadowwork website,
Right.
but just that. And then when she talks to the detectives again, she tells them that something about the situation told her that it wasn't going to be good. Like she had a gut instinct that he was not a good person to be around and this was a bad situation, but she ignored her gut instinct because she didn't want to stereotype him because
Mhm.
into her um, earlier in the week. And so again, you know, that to me just sends the message. We're seeing, okay, two different women gave two different black men the benefit of the doubt, and they both ended up being
Being rapist.
dangerous rapists. So
Mhm.
whether intentional or not, I think the message that's just sent is reinforcing the idea that black men are to be feared and they are scary.
Mhm.
Um,
And more than likely, they're going to commit a crime, or they're going to either rape you, attack you, or hurt you in some kind of way.
right.
Yeah.
So these are the things that this is why um, diversity is so important, especially when you are um, creating shows like this. It's not just one writer working on these shows; it's a group of writers. But is how diverse is that group, right? Because
Right. Right.
if you're if you have a group of writers and they're all white, well, guess what? They're not going to see this issue that both Teresa and I saw.
And yeah,
Um,
that's true.
Heather asked, "Did they have a guest writer for the finale?" I do not know. I don't
I
know who wrote.
No, I don't believe so. I think it was like their normal group of writers for this particular finale. I don't think they had a guest person.
I would think it would probably be their normal group, but I don't know who. Like,
Yeah, I would say it was probably the normal group of writers.
yeah, um, yeah. So that's that's one thing to keep in mind is especially with things like this, if you have
Mhm.
a group of writers working on a story, working on a show, movie, whatever it is, the more diverse voices you can bring into it, the better it's going to be, and the more you'll be able to catch um, issues like this and be able to
Yeah,
fix them you know, before they're released.
yeah. And then another thing with this one, like the in SVU, it was like they depicted the black on black crime because like the guy that attacked the first victim that was totally different from the website, and she was standing by, watching the water, and then he assaulted her.
Mhm,
That same particular guy went up the road and attacked a 14-year-old boy, and then tried to attack another person. And the 14-year-old boy was black. I believe he was black or mixed. And then the other guy he attacked was a black male. They ended up stabbing him.
mhm,
So there goes your depiction of black on black crime, which a lot of shows have been doing that lately. It's always a black person attacking another black person or killing another black person. They depicted that in this particular finale as well,
mhm.
which I'm tired of seeing black on black crime and
Yeah.
and shows.
Well,
Black people are not the only people that commit crime.
and well, I think part of that is because that's like the go-to speaking points when things like this come up, and there it always seems to somehow be brought back to this to the point of, well, black on black crime, black people commit the most acts against others. which could be said of any race as well.
Right.
Right. While we do see interracial crimes, that
Mhm.
doesn't mean there's no white men committing crimes against white men, or Hispanic against Hispanic. Every race you're gonna see crime within the same racial group.
Right. It's not just black folks.
Right. But I think people sometimes get focused on that to distract from the interracial crime that happens.
That's true. That's true. So, what did you think about um, the mother in SVU that was at the real estate office?
Um, the real estate office.
The
Yeah,
the
I'm getting things mixed up.
um
Is that
they
who paid for the babysitter or no?
the girl at the real estate office where their computers went down and the IT person had to come in.
Yes, that mom, the mom
That mom.
of the shadow
Uh,
guy.
yes, what's his name? Kyle. Kyle's mom.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about her?
Um. Well, I want to read this real quick. That's so sad. I had
Hmm.
it was becoming a thing on TV like that. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's very wrong.
Um. So the mom, Kyle's mom, like I don't. Well, I don't. This is hard for me to say because I'm not a mom. I'm not a parent. But so I mean, I can imagine how hard it would be for her to hear about what her son's done. So of course, naturally, she doesn't want to believe it, and she wants to protect him, and see the only the good in him, and protect him from all this trouble and stuff. Um, but I also one thing that was kind of surprising, well, maybe not super surprising, a little bit to me was the fact that they said even after they showed her the suicide note, she
Hmm.
still wouldn't tell them where he was, still wouldn't give him up. Which, I guess as a mom, you have that devotion and that instinct to protect your kid at all cost. Um, at the same time, I'm thinking about it like, if my kid did something this horrible, um, as hard as it would be, he needs consequences.
Yes. Yes. And I am a mom, and I'm a mom of three sons. So if the cops was to come to me and tell me that one of my kids did something like this, I'm sorry, I would straight throw them under the bus. I love them, but if you're taking out people, that's wrong. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to tell the cops where you are because I wouldn't want anybody else to get hurt. Because what if it was my child getting hurt?
right.
So I would take a different stance than what she took because I would be like, nope. The last time I saw my son, he was at this place, at this address. He had on these clothes and everything. Because I understand being a parent, you want to protect your kids, but at some point, you have to let your kids go. And
Right.
if they're doing wrong, they have to pay for the crimes that they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't protect my boys from crimes. If they're committing crimes, then they need to do the time for the crime that they're committing. I
Right.
wouldn't be the one that would be like, "Oh no, I'm not telling you where my son is because my boy didn't do that. Because for one thing, I don't put anything past anybody. I
Mm,
think people are capable of doing things, so I wouldn't put anything past my children if you know if they were to come to me and say, I mean, if the FBI and the cops are coming to you saying that your child did something,
mhm.
uh, they
Yeah,
might have a reason to be coming to say that your kid did something. So yeah, I wouldn't put anything past it. But another thing I was shocked about in this episode was the Uber driver, the Lyft driver girl, who was black, and
oh yeah.
Kyle, I guess, asked for Uber because his mom was asking him, what was he going to eat, and he
Mm,
got the Uber driver to come pick him up and take him to this restaurant. But
mhm,
then he invited her to eat with him,
mhm,
and she went in there and ate with him, even though you could tell on her facial expressions that she knew something was a little bit off with him.
mhm,
But then she sit in there and ate with him and just dropped him off like nothing was wrong,
mhm.
which I thought was kind of weird because I just, me personally, I wouldn't have done that. I would have been like, "That's okay." But
Yeah.
she went in there, ate a whole meal with him, and conversated with him,
Mhm.
and he was acting very, very weird.
Yeah.
That just didn't seem like a typical thing that anybody would do with somebody that's acting that weird.
Mhm. Which, um, with that as well, though, I kind of have a hard time with that because with that, I kind of think, um, while he was acting, w- as we would say, weird or suspicious, at,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I'm also aware that there are um, a lot of people who have who are neurodivergent or have autism, and their behavior many times can be perceived by a lot of people as weird or not normal.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
that's true. I can see what you're saying. Yeah, that's true.
at the same time, I'm kind of like that's kind of where my thought or mindset went when she um was having lunch with them. Was like I I kind of thought of it like, in this situation she might be seeing it like, okay, he's off, he's peculiar, but he hasn't done anything that she
Mm-hmm.
knows of that's bad. Just the way that he speaks is peculiar and not really normal. And so it could be that he has some sort of disability that, and that's just how it comes out. This is how his interactions end up being. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it could also be something else. You don't always know. And so I think she was kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt, especially since they, especially since like they were having that conversation in the cab
In the car.
on the way to the restaurant, right? And we're saying how like he or he was saying, asking her why is she alone on Christmas, and if her boyfriend should have chose to be with her instead of his racist
His
family.
family. Yeah.
Um, and just I think maybe some of that, you know, might have got her to see him as okay. He's he's a little weird, but seems like a nice enough guy. Um, and then they had lunch, and him paying for her lunch also, I
Mm-hmm.
was another like, yeah, this kid's a little weird. Seems like a nice guy. So
Yeah, he was acting a little strange in
yeah,
that part of the episode. I thought it was kind of weird, but like you said, she was giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I mean, he didn't seem. I guess to her, he didn't seem like a threat to
right.
her, or I would believe she wouldn't have went in and had lunch with him if she thought something else was going to happen or come out of it. I just thought he was.
Which could be which is something else that could speak to what we were saying earlier about, the women in these episodes giving the guys the benefit of the doubt,
Of the doubt.
and
Hmm.
then two of them, that the two black men they gave the benefit of the doubt, ended up um, being rapists and hurting people. And while he did end up hurting people with his type,
Hmm.
she doesn't know that, and he didn't hurt her. So
Right.
we see a totally different pers- uh,
Perspective.
right when we see him, and he's a white boy.
And he's a white man. Yeah. But she didn't see any danger there, whereas the black men were depicted as danger because they turned around and did something dangerous, whereas him and that part of the episode, he didn't really do anything dangerous. He was actually being nice
Hmm.
and kind of polite, I guess you would say, with her, and seeming that she's a black female.
The only one that was, you know, at that moment, the only one who was truly in danger was himself, because we know he
Mm.
had a plan to take himself out
Out. Yeah.
later that evening. So
Yeah.
the only one who was really in danger in that scene or that moment was him.
Yeah. And it was like he was okay with it.
Hmm.
I mean, he was like basically okay with it. He had wrote a note and everything
Hmm.
to his
Oh,
mom.
which reminds me, I completely forgot. Uh, Sorry for anyone who's um, watching right now who may have been triggered. I forgot to add trigger warnings because
Oh yeah.
the content, um, obviously, Law and Order deals with heavy topics, heavy content. So obviously, we're going to be talking about suicide in this video, as well as sexual assault and rape. So forgot to give that disclaimer at the beginning. So sorry for anyone who didn't know what to expect and may have been triggered. Um, but yeah, these are the content warnings.
True. True. So let's talk about organized crime because that's like the second part of this finale.
Hmm.
The first, I can't remember what happens in the first video because a lot of the stuff that got to me was in the second finale video of organized crime, not the first one. So in the second one, the final episode, um, we know that with the website, there's a hit out on Olivia and
Hmm.
Stabler,
Hmm.
um, which I thought was wow. So I'm like, you got to be gutsy to do that, but okay. um,
Well,
so he,
they were gutsy enough to put a hit and take out the judge.
yes, yes. I was like, oh my god, they took out a judge.
I quite
That
a
was
judge too.
yeah, and I think another judge was on the list. So I mean, these people going on this website, I was like, okay, y'all are really ballsy people, because y'all putting a hit on specific high leveled people on this site, and people are actually taking the jobs and actually doing them. So
I know.
that was a little bit strange. But
I mean, I guess again, it all depends on like people that are in desperate situation will do things when they're in desperate situation.
yeah,
And
yeah.
someone offering you what was it, $100,000 to
To take out two people,
well, that was for the judge, right? Wasn't it 100,000
I think the 100,000 was for the judge, and it was 50,000
each?
for them to teach each one of Olivia or and
Yeah,
Stabler.
yeah,
But the judge, I think, was the one that was the $100,000.
yeah, yeah. So
So
you think about that, and it's like you, people in desperate situations, they're gonna look at that $100,000 and be like, you know, a lot of folks would probably do it. Unfortunately,
yeah, it could change their lives. $100,000 could change a person's life. So,
yeah.
but I'm like, I just don't think I would be able to do that. Not for any money in the world. But these people that go to this site actually are pulling this stuff off. They're actually doing the jobs. And I'm sorry, some of these things, some of the jobs that was on this site, you wanted to get your wife back, so you decided to have somebody attack her. How is that going to make your wife come back to you?
Well, it started to, if you remember, because she obviously the wife didn't know he was the one who paid someone to attack her, and so after the attack, he was there for her, supporting her, consoling her, and so it it like gave started giving the wife a different perspective of her husband. Um, so I think, part of that is just them thinking that, they can somehow be the hero. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
their wife went,
The knight in shining armor
yeah,
that's going to come in and save the day. Oh, I'm saving the day. I'm saving you.
yeah, basically. Um,
Basically,
especially since she didn't know he's the one who caused the
all the stuff that happened.
attack at the
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Some of the jobs on there were kind of crazy,
Yeah,
but
which I did wanted to ask you. Speaking of one job in particular, the one I brought up earlier with the babysitter, the nanny. Um, what did you think about that? That it was the wife who put the job out because the nanny slept with the husband.
yeah. Now that I don't think it should have been taken out on the nanny. I
Mhm.
think she should have addressed her husband first, because you're married to your husband. This girl works for you, and I'm not saying that she didn't go along with it, but at some point your husband must have came on to your nanny, and instead of you just directly taking it out on the nanny, I think she should have addressed the husband first. But to get your nanny attacked, I'm like, okay, that I mean, that was like a little bit much. You should have just fired her.
Well,
And
they said the nanny said she quit the next day.
okay, so she did quit. So I mean, she was out of your hair,
Hmm.
and I still think the wife should have took it out on the husband. But then I understand the wife is upset. She's mad. I brought you into my home. I'm paying you a paycheck to take care of my son. And not only are you trying to take care of my son, you trying to take care of my husband too. That's not what I paid you for. And I get that little bit of tinge of revenge that she wanted to give back at her. But the way she did it, I think, was, I mean, she could have blackballed her where nobody, like, hired her anymore or
Mm,
something like that, something simple. But she went on this site and paid somebody to actually attack this girl. And I
yeah,
think they only attacked her once, right?
I think so.
I think yeah, because the hotel girl was the only girl that got attacked twice.
Yeah.
I think the nanny only got attacked once.
Hmm.
But but I understand where the wife. I hate to say it, but I understand where the wife's coming from. She wanted that little bit of revenge to get back at her for sleeping with her husband. But I still think she should have just took it out on her husband.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the revenge should have been taken out on him. Yeah,
Yes,
he-
yes.
he's the one, like, he's the one who made the commitment, the vow. He's the one who,
Right, and he's the one that crossed the line. So I think if she was gonna do the revenge thing on the site, she should have took it out on him and not the young lady.
yeah,
But I understand she was upset, ticked off. But why didn't you do the website and have him get taken care of too? I mean, you had her get attacked. Why didn't you have your husband get attacked?
yeah. Well, and not just attacked, but she was raped, which is
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I'm like, you know, for I think for anyone, but especially for a woman to request for another woman to be raped, I I don't believe she would have. I don't believe the wife experienced anything like that ever in her life,
Mm-mm.
because you can't experience something like that and then, even if you want revenge on someone, I don't think that is the way you would go about it if
Yeah.
you experience that.
Like she wouldn't have picked that type of revenge if that had have happened to her,
Mhm,
previously. I don't think she would have picked that particular type of revenge for the nanny.
mhm, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
too. I think she just wanted a little bit of control on what was going to happen to the nanny.
yeah, yeah. Um, Another thing I wanted to touch on, before we get into an the big twist that we're
Yeah.
about, but another thing I wanted to talk about was, I know you've been watching SVU for years, just like I have. So I wanted to ask, have you noticed lately the dialogue between characters, how it's, to me, what I've seen is the dialogue these days doesn't feel natural or organic. It feels pretty forced, and like they're trying to, like, obviously Law and Order is a show that makes social commentary about issues in our
Mhm.
society. It's always done that. But I feel like in the past it's been in a more natural, organic way, whereas now it feels like the conversation sometimes it's out of place, and it's like, I know you're just trying to get this in to make your social commentary, but this doesn't
Mhm.
feel like a natural conversation that they would be having right now. Does that make sense?
I think some of that is the writers. I do know sometimes the show they switch out writers.
Hmm.
Um, but with everything that's going on with the writing guild and everything here lately, I don't think the writing has been fully up to par like it normally is. I think that's why we're noticing some of the dialogue and the interactions, the way the script is written, how it's played out for us. I think some of it you could tell is not organic because I think it's the writers. Some of them, when they decided that they wasn't going to write anymore, they just kind of left what they had done and they just had to pick up from that and take off with it. And a lot of it wasn't corrected, I would say. So it wasn't cleaned up to where. But when you're on a timeline, you got to get the shows out. I think they just went with that. But that's just my guess. So don't so take that with a grain of salt. It's just my guess because I know a lot of people have been talking about, and we've talked to a couple of producers that they said that they swiped some of them swipe out writers, and then when the whole guild thing happened, they lost their really good writers because I think some of them was like we're not writing anymore. So some of the actual producers have tried to like take what they left and clean it up as much as they could to
Mm.
be able to film. And us looking at it, the viewers looking at it can tell that it's not the normal dialogue that we see the characters have or the normal interactions that we see the characters have.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of that is because of the writers.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, because just some of the I was thinking about the conversation Finn was having with Velasco um, about men and why men do these horrible things and stuff.
Hmm.
And it's like, I get what you're trying to do, but it didn't come out as it didn't sound like a natural, organic conversation. Um,
Hmm.
and then let me see. I'm looking at my notes. Oh, so one thing we actually didn't talk about or touch on was the other storyline that was going on with Muncie uh, tracking down Elias after they found that guy chained up in the cave. Um, and she realizes Elias was behind it. Uh, the the older guy, he ended up dying. Um, and then she she ends up finding Elias and sort of uh, you know telling him she's sorry for the way she handled the situation before, and she's gonna help him now. And then brings him in. He's arrested and stuff. Um, that scene where he breaks the window, the glass window, that separates the interrogation room from the Liv's office. Do you remember that scene?
I'm trying to remember that scene. I don't remember that scene.
He
Now Elias wasn't the same guy that they were out in the field and they had hung all the clothes and stuff up on the trees.
no,
That's not Elias, is it?
no, no.
Okay,
He
I'm getting Elias mixed up with someone else.
he was the big guy who his dad had him torturing those girls.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, now I know who you're talking about.
They had to be
And he was trying to help the girls
yeah.
at the end, and he was like living in the basement
Hmm.
of someone's house.
Yeah, of the church.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay. Now I know who you're talking about. I was getting him and the other guy mixed up.
yeah.
But yeah.
So there's that scene at the end um, where he throws, I think it was a chair or something, he throws the
Mhm.
window.
Yeah, he did.
And then once he runs over and he grabs her and starts choking her, and he's like, "You said you'd help me." Um,
Mhm.
and they have to like kind of get him
Get
off.
him off of her.
Yeah. Um, what did you think about that whole storyline and that scene?
Um, Well, for one, I think his character was a victim too, because his dad was having him do all these things, and I don't think he had the intelligence level at the time that when they first started doing it to know that it was wrong. But then as he got older, he started to realize it was wrong, and he was trying to help the one girl. So when she told him that she was going to help him if he would just come with them, he kind of he kind of believed her because he didn't have anybody else to believe. He was just minding his own business for one when they went to go get him the last time. So I think he was kind of a victim too in that whole situation, until he realized what they were doing was wrong. And he like literally took her at her word when she told him that she was going to help him. And when he realized she lied, I think that's why he reacted the way that he did
Hmm.
and started choking her.
Yeah,
But I think he was somewhat of a victim in all of it too, because I think he was forced to do those things
yeah,
by his dad. Not that he really wanted to do those things.
yeah. Um, I don't remember too much of like in the original case with all the girls how how much he willingly participated or not. I know, it started off with him being forced to do all these stuff as a dad, and I think I don't remember. I think he was starting to like change towards the end a little,
Mm-hmm.
but in this, and then in this episode, in the finale, when he gets brought back in because of the guy and like, keeping him locked up in the cage. And the minute that they they were talking about him like having him locked up in the cage, and they were investigating and trying to figure out why he kidnapped this guy and kept him there. My
Mm-hmm.
thought was, something about him triggered his dad, um, for Elias. Because I'm thinking, like,
Yeah.
this is an older guy that he bumped into outside of the store, the convenience store where he was at. And so I was thinking something about the guy triggered him and triggered him and reminded him of his dad and all the abuse from his dad.
Yeah.
So
His dad.
he kind of snapped at that moment and like, you know, took uh took out all that anger and frustration and everything on the guy, um,
Mm-hmm.
and by kidnapping him and torturing him. But yeah, I think definitely, and it's interesting how like at the end, I thought it was interesting how like Muncie was saying, you know, she felt bad because she told him she would help him.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, she's a cop. Honestly, there really wasn't much she could do to have him
Nope. Nope.
arrest him. I mean, she's not a social,
Yeah.
but Finn saying, you did help him, because even though he's locked up now, he'll be able to get the treatment he needs in jail, and that just, I feel like that just shows what a sad state we're in as a society, that you you know those that need help and treatment the most don't get it until they've done something bad enough to
Something horrible.
lock,
Mhm.
and like that's
Yeah.
when they finally get the help they need is when they're arrested for something.
Yeah. And I had forgot that he had the guy locked in the cage and was giving him like some type of candy or something.
Yeah,
Um,
I think something.
Crusher, yeah, something like that. That was the only thing he was giving him to eat. And I forgot that he did that, and I think that's why he did snap because, like you said, it probably reminds him of his. He probably reminded him of his dad and all the stuff that his dad had did to him and forced him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he just snapped, and that's why he took the guy and locked him in there to try to punish his dad
Yeah,
for what his dad had did and all
yeah,
the stuff that his dad had put him through.
yeah,
But I mean, you're true. I mean, you're right. A lot of times, people don't get the help that they need until they go out and do something bad that gets them locked up, and then they decide to give them the treatment that they need instead of just. I mean, even the people that do openly ask for help, a lot of times don't get the help that they need,
right.
and they go do something so that they can,
Mm-hmm.
go back in to get the help that they need. Which is sad that that happened.
Yeah, it's it's sad that that's the way our society and our system is set up. Because if we remember from the um, the episode where we first meet Elias, at the end of the trial, he ends up getting acquitted and released. That would have been a good time to get him help.
Help. Hmm.
He, like you said, he was a victim as well. And
Hmm.
he suffered from his dad's abuse as well. That would have been a good time to intervene and get him proper help, proper treatment, so that he didn't snap on this stranger
On the man. Yeah.
man on the street one day. But
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Not lock him up in a thing. And his lawyer should have. His lawyer should have fought for that.
mm-hmm,
Like, yeah, he's acquitted, but try to like hook him up with like a social worker or someone that could have helped him get into like a program or something to get him help. But
unfortunately, I don't think many lawyers are thinking about that, especially if
no, they're not.
it's just a public defender that.
Probably, or if it's a pro bono case, they probably don't think like that. Yeah.
Um, okay, well, let's. Um, I guess now we can jump into the big thing that I wanted to talk
Yes.
with organized crime. So that storyline, when the when they're going after Kyle,
Hmm.
all the cops are there, and Amanda's there. Why is she's pregnant? Why she should not have been there? I'm just
Um,
I don't know.
she was their profiler.
I know, and I get that, but I'm like, this is you're actively in an area where you're going after this guy who's dangerous. You have all these police in full gear
Hmm.
going after him, and she's pregnant, and you bring her like he could be in.
With you.
They don't know where he is at this moment. He
Mm-mm.
where so who's to say that cabin that they went in, that Amanda went in and was searching, who's to say he wasn't, hiding somewhere in there and would have taken a shot at her? Like it blew my mind they even had her there to begin with.
Yes. I'm like, why did she stay at the actual station?
Yeah,
Um and she could have like talked to them through like video or phone
yeah,
instead of actually going to the site with them.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you walk in. Apparently, he was there and he was cooking him something to eat because he had a pot on the little stove there. And I'm like, is anybody gonna turn that pot off before it like blows up the whole building? No, they didn't. She just put the lid back on it. And I'm like, I don't think you should even be in here.
I
Because
know.
he could have been hiding anywhere in that cabin.
That's what I was thinking. He could have. You're lucky he wasn't there, but what if he was? Like,
And apparently he's a good shot because he had that rifle and he was hitting targets.
well, he hit James,
Yeah.
which Jamie, which we'll talk about. Because I was pissed at what they did with Jamie's character
Character.
once he got shot. Now, I I saw his death coming because I saw it coming before he even got shot because of the way they were talking about him wanting to go see the light,
Hmm.
Northern Lights, and him
Yeah.
the trip and stuff. I'm like, whenever a character starts talking about
Starts doing that. Yeah.
going away on a trip like this, you know they're not gonna make it out of this episode. They're not making it out alive. So I knew they were gonna kill him. My thing is, if you were gonna kill him anyway, why didn't you kill him like when he was shot on the ground, waiting for help to come, or when he was in the aircraft on the way to the hospital, or even in surgery? You could have said,
Hmm.
make
Yep.
surgery. You had three perfectly good opportunities to say,
To
okay,
let him go.
he's
Yep.
he's gone, he didn't make it, sorry. But no, you decide, whoever decided this, decided, now the better solution, the better idea, have him survive all of that, become disabled, and then him kill himself because he's
Hmm.
disabled.
My point exactly. I was like, they should have, when he got shot in the field and Reyes was holding his neck with the amount of blood that was coming out of his neck before the little EMT girl got there, the
Mm-hmm,
medic girl got there.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, when she got there on the scene and was trying to help him, and he told her, "No, you go help Kyle." She told him to go help
Which
them because they needed him alive.
I would have been selfish and been like, nope, fuck him.
Because Reyes was like, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. And he was like, no, go help them because we need him alive. And he said that because they did need him to end the fight, which I understand. But at that point right then, they could have just, after him saying that to her, just a few seconds after that, he could have went. He could have died there.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would have been cool. Which my thing is, why did you only send two medics when y'all after this guy that's like is very very dangerous? You got all your men out here looking for this guy. Why would you only send one measly medic to help out? If somebody, you should have two or three on standby, even four, matter of fact, on
Yeah,
standby, because y'all was covering a lot of ground.
yeah,
Why would you only have one?
right.
And I'm like, they should have just let Jamie go then.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you said, when they were airlifting him, he could have said a couple of words and he could have died in the
Right.
helicopter.
Or
But no.
or not make it out of surgery,
Or when he got to the hospital and you guys rushed him into surgery,
Mm-hmm.
they could have had Reyes just standing outside the surgery thing, and then the doctor come through and say, "I'm sorry, we did everything we could. He didn't make it." They could have did that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but no,
yeah,
no, they didn't do that.
yeah. They had plenty of opportunities where it could have gone differently, which
Hmm.
then I would have I would have still been pissed because I didn't want them to save the kid over Jamie. However, I wouldn't have been as mad as I was with the fact that they made him disabled and decide
Hmm.
his only option was to kill himself. Because now the message you're sending is that you're better off dead than disabled. And
Yes. Yeah. And that's how I took it too. I was
mhm,
like, I just think that that's sending the wrong message. I mean, I understand that he was upset that this happened and he said he didn't want to live like that. But to me, that's the message that you're sending. Well, if you're in an accident or you get shot and you become paralyzed or you're in a condition where you can't fully function to your youthful or rightful self, then it's okay for you to say you don't want to be there and take yourself out.
mhm,
I mean, that's not a message that you should be wanting to. And a lot, like you said, a lot of organized crime, well, not specifically organized crime. I know SVU does, but organized crime does sometimes do like commentaries, like social commentary stuff, where they're trying to put out a particular message or relay a particular message. But
mhm.
this time, I think that they got the message wrong.
Oh
To
yeah,
me,
oh yeah,
I think the message was wrong. And
100%.
I understand that he didn't want to go on with the show. He didn't renew his contract with the show. That's cool. But if you did that, you could have just let them take you out in a hero type
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
not uh oh my god, I can't do this and I'm gonna kill myself. Don't go out like that. Go out like in a heroic war. So when you're like taking the bad guy down or something like that. Don't go out the way they depicted it. And granted, he doesn't have a say over how they take him out of the show. He just knows that they're gonna take him out of the show.
yeah.
I don't think they give the actors or actresses a say in how they're gonna write them out of the show. But they could have wrote him out of this show better than what they did
Mhm, yeah.
to
Uh,
me.
I wanted to, and I bring all this up because I also want to share this story that I found out about just last night, actually. I was watching another YouTuber, um, talk about disability and, certain tropes, like the whole better off dead than disabled thing.
Hmm.
Um, and she mentioned this mass killing that happened. This was, I think, 6 years ago now, or more than that. This was happened in 2016, and I was surprised that I have not heard anything until now last night. But in 2016, there was a case of an ex-employee of a home for people with disabilities
Hmm.
going in and killing 19 people and injuring 2 dozen others. Um, and they've said it's and here's the other thing that, you know, should be a huge eye opener for a lot of people, especially those of us in the US. But this was the deadliest mass attack Japan has seen since World War II.
Wow.
And we see them every other day like it's nothing. Um,
Yep.
but that's a topic for another day. But
Yeah.
that's a whole other topic in and of itself. But that
Yeah.
that was one thing that struck me was like the deadliest attack since World War II. And he used a knife to stab them. Imagine if he had a gun like we have here, how much
Hmm.
damage he would have done. Um, but anyway, I bring up this case to say um, it says he was a former care home employee, um, and that he uh, repeatedly said during the investigation and trial, he repeatedly said he had no regrets and was trying to help the world by killing people he thought were burdens.
Oh.
that's the thing, that whether society wants to acknowledge it, admit it, recognize it or not, that's the message disabled people get all the time from society. We are burdens. Um, our life is not worth living. Um,
Oh,
we don't contribute much to society, and we're better off dead. And that message, like, again, this is why I do the diversity work that I do, because seeing that message from organized crime reinforces beliefs in
mhm,
like this. It
yep.
reinforces. I think the article later on said he had mm, he had written a letter that he tried to give to a parliament leader months before the attack, um, stating that, uh, that I think it was just that they were he knew how to get rid of, like, the burden they had on society or whatever. But it says he told medical staff and officials that he was influenced by the idea of Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, whose killing of disabled people were seen as intended to improve the perceived master race.
Wow.
So, yeah. Um,
It's like who brought that to his? I want. I wonder why he thought that. Who like brought that to his attention, or how did he come up with that ideology that people that are handicapped are a burden? I mean, is that something somebody told him, or him working at this place? That's what he just took upon himself to think.
I think, well, he says he
Because
was
that's
influenced by Hitler. So that's one factor, I suppose. Plus, I guess working in the home that he worked in, taking care of disabled people. And also another thing, because I was talking to someone else earlier about um, uh, this case, and something they brought up, um, which I hadn't thought about at the time, but it's true, is Japan, um, like a lot of Asian societies, is different from us in the sense that there is there's more of a focus on community living, like um, sort of everyone in the community takes care of each other.
each other. Hmm.
Um, this sense of uh, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but because of their value on community, and, like, everyone working together, helping each other, and, like, building building up, it,
Hmm.
it could be seen as like, well, these are the people that are bringing us down and slowing us down. So if we get rid of them, it'll be better off for all of us, for the rest of us as a whole, which is horrible. But
Yeah, it is.
like, I I see how, um, looking at it from that point, how you'd get to that conclusion, sort of, versus the US here. It's more very individualistic. So it's not
Hmm.
like if one person isn't doing something, it's not like it's bringing the whole country down or the whole community down or whatever. Um, so, there may be that difference there. But either way, my point is stories like this, narrative like this, that we see in organized crime just further perpetuates and reinforces this belief in
Hmm.
the minds of people like this, um,
Right.
which is very dangerous.
And it's very wrong. I mean,
Hmm.
disabled people have just as much right to be here as, people that don't have handicaps. Um, and I'm sorry to say, but there are some people that do have a handicap that are giving back to society more than the people that don't. I
Hmm.
mean, you have some people with handicaps that they have regular jobs, they work every day, they give back, and there's some people that don't have a handicap that sit on their couch and don't do nothing. So,
Which
and they're either out robbing or stealing, or they're living off the government and not really giving anything to society, but taking it from society. So they can't say the handicapped people are a burden because they're not.
which brings me to another point that uh, I wanted to talk about. But before I jump into that, one other thing I wanted to mention was the uh, the use of the term handicap is mm, an outdated term that's not really
Yeah, it
used
is.
in the
Yeah, it is. Sorry about that.
um, yeah. So now I'm losing my train of thought. What was I going to
Well,
say?
I think more people say disabled, right, instead of
Yeah,
handicap.
yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so I meant disabled people are still giving back to the community. I apologize for saying handicap, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of disabled people that work full time jobs, just like I work a full time job. So they are giving back to society and the community. And there's some people that don't have a disability that are taking from society and the community, where they're either on um, like welfare, or they're just refusing to work, or whereas you have some disabled people that work every day. They're doing secretarial work. They might be working in a coffee shop. They're like you, running your own business. So you can't say that they're a burden when they're doing more than you're doing.
right. Um, which I'll say uh, is one of the things I wanted to bring up. Is like I think because there is underrepresentation of disability in media, so and also a lot of disabilities are invisible. People don't see,
Hmm.
but that doesn't mean the person isn't disabled. And so
Right.
there's I wanted to kind of bring up and talk about some uh, people throughout history that have had disabilities and are, you know, successful in their careers, whether they're, scientists, artists, Stephen Hawking's is one that people think about all the time when it comes to a disabled scientist, right? He was a physicist um, who had, uh, I forget what it was. I think it was ALS, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he used a wheelchair and, yeah, ALS. and he was a theoretical physicist, cosmologist, author, and director of research at the Center for Theoretical Cosmology at the University of Cambridge.
Hmm.
And he's won many prizes, awards, and medals. You have, famous musicians like Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles,
Mm-hmm.
have disabilities, were blind or deaf. You have like actors. I saw
Mm-hmm.
this list is said, who was uh, Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, uh,
Mm-hmm.
has dys- dyspraxia, I want to say, um, which is oh, dyspraxia, which is a neurological disorder that hinders a person's motor skills. So
Mm.
you you never know what
You
people.
know, yeah.
And of course, we've had presidents. Um, uh, Franklin Roosevelt, who used a wheelchair, had polio and used a wheelchair. People with disabilities, you know, are part of every single facet of
Yeah.
every industry, every career. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so to portray their lives as something that is, not worth living, or something that is, so horrible and they must be pitied or they must be better off dead or whatever. It's just a horrible message to
Mm-hmm.
send.
It is.
And what was I thinking? Yeah, so that's something that I really want to get out and get across to people. And it's something I've also talked about. I have a chapter about that in my book, um, A Writer's Guide to Creating Diverse Characters with Disability, um, which, by the way, right now I am having a sale since it's July is Disability Pride Month for anyone who didn't know. Um, and I'm having a sale on my ebook for just 99 cents. So I might look up the writers of Organized Crime and send them a copy for free because
Yes.
I really need this. Uh, yeah, so I losing my train of thought again. But
That's okay.
that's pretty much what I really wanted to get at. Yes, there there was a lot with these finales. These
Yes. It was a lot. And then watching them over again, I was like, it just makes you mad all over again. Just
yeah,
makes you upset all over again.
yeah,
Because it's like that end scene with Jamie, it just really, really bothered me.
mhm,
Out of the 4 episodes for the particular season finale,
mhm.
that part just like,
And I can't even imagine like for someone who is who has um been in an accident and is newly disabled, what
mm-hmm,
what they would think or hear from seeing something like that. Because when this episode came out, I know when that episode came out, I had a friend who um, her cousin was in an accident and recently uh, became disabled from the neck down, quadriplegic.
Oh.
Um, and like for people like her cousin, seeing something like this,
Hmm.
that's even worse, I think.
Yes. Yes. Because then it's just dropping that little nugget into their mind
There's no hope. Why should I
that
be?
there's no hope,
I,
and you should think like he thought and just take yourself out.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah, it's just it just wasn't a good match because they like we've said, like we've mentioned, they had three other ways they could have ended that season finale
mm-hmm,
for well his character's role in the season finale. There was three other options they had that they didn't take,
mm-hmm.
and going with the one that they did, I don't think it was the right choice.
No, at all. Um,
And I know they probably researched their stuff and they probably talked to people before with me that might have like these type of conditions, but I don't think everybody with that type of condition would have said, "Yeah, you're going to depict us properly if you do it the way that they did it." I don't think they would have said that.
no, well, I, I feel like that's given them a little bit too much credit and benefit of the doubt because honestly, I don't think they did much research at all into this topic and how it'll be portrayed because there has been just one simple Google search would bring up
Hmm.
articles. When Me Before You came out, there were so many disability advocates who spoke out against the movie and criticized it. And there's so many different articles, blog posts, YouTube videos that talked about Me Before You and the harmful portrayal it does. It portrays for the disability community. So I don't think you can, you know, be in a role in network TV and be blind to the backlash that other movies and shows have gotten on the same topic and not realize that you
You
should.
might get the same backlash or that you shouldn't use it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they didn't do a great job on this one. This is maybe the only season finale that they've done that I can think of that I just truly did not like
Hmm.
after watching 24 seasons.
Yeah. um yeah, because I've been rewatching some of the older seasons as well again, and yeah, I like there are small things that I've noticed in some of the episodes, but overall, I don't think they've done as bad or poorly
Hmm.
as they have with this one.
Get this one. Yeah. I think this was the main one that I've seen that I just did not like. And I don't like the chief that they have on this one either.
Oh yeah,
Um, in SVU, the that dude's so narrow minded.
I, I I couldn't stand him. I was like, just shut up and go away.
Yeah.
Like
He
you're not doing anything. Yeah, we know
no.
they have to catch this guy. We know that they're trying. You
Yeah.
bringing it up isn't gonna get any positive
No.
result.
And he was only focused on the judge being killed. He wasn't really worried about the other people that were in harm's way. He was just focusing on making him look good by taking down the person that killed the judge. He wasn't thinking about these women that were raped and attacked and all the other stuff that was happening. He was just focused on that. And he had her jump the gun on the virus. I think if they would have waited, like Olivia said, then I think it would have probably went a different way. But he just wanted them to hurry up and jump the gun. And then when she did it, um, and it didn't turn out how he wanted, he
Oh,
attacked her character about her doing it. I'm like, but you the one that told them that they had to go ahead and set the virus up and let it go. They told you to wait.
yeah.
I was like, oh, he's so condescending. Like, ugh.
He was. He
He,
I couldn't stand him. Which also now reminds me, makes me think. Um, when we were saying earlier that they needed Kyle to shut down the site, I was thinking, because when I was watching the episode, I was also thinking, well, I know Jet couldn't shut it down before, but
mm-hmm,
it was because he didn't know like where he was operating from, or like what, like his if she had his computer and hard drive and everything, couldn't she eventually hack it
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, she would have been able to. Yeah, I think she would have been able to hack it and like shut it down herself.
yeah,
Um,
I mean,
because she had put the virus in the other one, and they know that the real estate office was where the main box was coming from. And when he went in there and switched them out, that gave him the avenue to start the site up again. So I think if she would have just went in and did the HTML for that particular server, I think she would have been able to
hack
shut
it,
it down
yeah,
herself without him.
yeah. That's why that's also the thing where I'm like, again, and like you said, this is, probably because the writers had gone and they didn't have a chance to clean things up and everything. But as a writer, consistency matters, right? If
Yeah.
you have a character who you've portrayed all throughout the show, throughout the 3 seasons so far, as being able to hack into
Anything.
just about anything, and now you're saying she can't hack into his system even if she has all his equipment. He has to be the one to go in and shut it down. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that part either. I was like, wait a minute. She hacks into everybody else's stuff.
Yeah,
You mean she can't just take his laptop and hack into his laptop and completely erase his HTML and erase the whole site? You have to have him there.
yeah.
And then all he did was roll up to the table,
Yeah.
click a couple of buttons. I'm like, seriously?
I I know Jet could have done it um
Hmm.
if she just needed his equipment. So I don't
Yeah.
know why they did it that way, but again, probably because they didn't have the writers at the time. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because you can tell on a show when the writers change. Because for instance, I was looking at West Wing because I had taken Aaron Sorkin's screenwriting course on Masterclass, and he had brought up West Wing, and I went and watched West Wing, and he says that after the fourth um, season, he had stopped writing the show, and the fifth season was a new writer. They had switched writers, and so I looked at the last two episodes of West Wing on season four and the first two episodes of West Wing season five, and I can completely tell that the writing was totally different.
Mm,
So I think a lot of times when they're switching writers, writers don't write the same.
right.
That's how you can tell. But like you were saying about the dialogue and things, I think that's how you can tell that it's a different writer because the flow of the show is a little bit different than what you're previously used to seeing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which sometimes could be a good thing and sometimes it could be a bad thing because sometimes when you switch writers, I've stopped looking at shows because I can tell that the writing is not the same, and I don't like the interaction and the dialogue of the characters because I just think that they acted out like too stiff when they first started the show. It was really relaxed and like authentic, and they were themselves. And then when the new person comes on, the characters kind of get stiff, and you can't really get into it. And I've stopped watching shows because of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully Law and Order doesn't have to be one of them. Hopefully they
Hopefully not.
get, get some good writers back on there. So
So on these two shows, do you have any favorites? Any of the actors that's your favorites on the show? On SVU and Organized Crime?
well, Liv is always a favorite.
Yes.
Liv and Liv and Ice T Finn.
Mm-hmm.
They're both always going to be my favorite. And I've said if they ever leave the show, I'm done. That's when I know I'm done.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Especially Liv, and which is interesting thing. And now it makes me, as you mentioned, the changes that you can see from different writers. It makes me wonder. When I was rewatching older episodes, there was this one episode that I watched that I was actually kind of mad at Liv, and I was not on her side with this one. Like, who wrote this? Now I'm thinking, because it was the episode where Casey Novak comes back for an episode. She's helping the domestic violence.
Oh yeah, where she was getting them out in like with the van, and she was yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And Liv, the husband was in prison for. They thought at first that he killed his wife, and so he was in a prison and jail. And when Liv found the wife and daughter, she was like, I have to let him know where you are. Even though she heard the story, she knew about the domestic abuse. She saw the burn on her stomach. She still, was very black and white in that episode. And like, this is the law. I have to. I can't break the law, whatever. And I'm like, Liv, some laws are meant to be broken.
Right, and it's not like she hasn't did it before.
I mean, how many times has Stabler bent the rules and
Yeah.
around and done things he probably shouldn't have? And you had his back.
Right.
So,
and now you don't have Casey's back. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Especially when it comes to a domestic violence victim.
Why put them back in that situation when they have the opportunity to actually get away from that situation?
Especially because so I watched that episode, and then I don't remember if it was the same season or maybe a season or two later. I think it could have been the same season, just several episodes later. But there was another case where this woman was raped and ended up getting pregnant by her rapist, and to keep the baby, but her rapist was taking her to court for to have rights of visitation with their kid, and she didn't want anything to do with that. And so even though the court granted, which another thing that I think is so stupid.
Stupid, yeah.
The court granted her rapist the right to supervise visitation, but she ended up uh, packing her stuff and like running away and leaving before they could do the visitation. And Liv knew about it and she let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Why is she letting them go? When and breaking the law in this instance, but you wouldn't break the law to let
For the other, yeah, for the
yeah,
domestic violence.
and they got her killed. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Liv, but this blood is on your hands.
this is your fault.
As much as it's
Yeah.
the husband, it's also on your hands because they got in the way.
Yeah. 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 Olivia and Finn are my favorite on SVU too.
Yeah.
But I love me some Stabler.
Uh,
Oh,
Stabler. So going to organized crime, which okay, do you think that they're going to bring Amanda onto organized crime? Because I thought that's what they were.
see, I was kind of wondering that because with this season finale, she was helping them out a lot. So
Mm-hmm,
I'm wondering if they're going to pull her onto organized crime as a consultant, like
mm-hmm.
a profiling consultant.
That's what I was thinking. Because
Uh,
when she met with Stabler, he was like, "Well, maybe we can help each other out. You know,
hmm
you consult for us." And so I was like, "Ooh, they're gonna bring her on organized."
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing, and she did say that she missed it, and she
Yeah,
told Olivia that she misses it too. So I don't know. She might come on to organized crime.
that would be good. I mean, I mean, that's especially since as horrible as the way they got rid of Jamie, since
Yeah, since
she,
they're down a man.
yeah, since she's gone, I can see
Mhm.
bringing her in there.
Mhm.
Um, that would be interesting.
Yeah, there would be.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Now I
Um,
love me some Stabler, but I like Reyes too on that show.
I was
I
gonna,
think he was a good addition.
I was gonna say Reyes and I think Reyes and Jet I really like on the show. Um, I mean, I like the whole team, but
Mhm.
yeah, I really like Reyes. And I like Jet as well. It was it was really interesting, I think, seeing Jet do like kind of a different role when she went under
Yeah.
and
Like when she went undercover.
yeah, and she wasn't
Yeah.
just like hacking, but she was like going undercover pretending to be and then ended up being like the fake girlfriend of the
Mhm.
that one guy. I was like, it was,
The
it was
yeah.
interesting to see her um, step out and do a different role like that.
Well, I'm glad they gave her like an episode that focused on her
Mm-hmm.
because she hadn't had any of those. But then when she went and did this undercover, it kind of was like focusing on her more. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to really see her character do
The one,
something outside.
the one thing I was mad though about that case when she went undercover, I was like, again, probably could chalk this up to who wrote this episode, who wrote this case. But when her wig fell off and then she just decided to reveal who she really was and that she was under,
Hmm
I'm like, girl, no. You didn't have to blow your cover for that.
Nope. You
You,
could just said your wig fell off.
for
just
real. Like,
just put your wig back on
women wear wigs all the time. Just like,
every day.
I, I wanted a change. I wanted a new hairstyle. I wanted to try something
I
different.
just wanted to try something different. That's all she had to say.
For
That's
real.
all she had to say. I'm
Especially,
like,
especially the way that he was falling for her. He would have listened
yep.
to things she said. So,
I think he would have, because he was really, really digging her, and
mm-hmm,
I think a little bit of her was digging him too.
mm-hmm. I do.
Even though she was undercover, I think she a little bit. I think she was kind of on to him too.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
Um,
because I think that's why she got to worry. The captain got to worrying about her. Like, are you sure you're okay? She was like,
mhm,
I'm fine.
mhm, yeah. Um, yeah, so we kind of jumped around everywhere after
Yeah, we did.
with this, but that's okay. It was still a good discussion, I think.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I
Um,
had fun.
so thank you for everyone who joined. And if you're watching the replay of this, thank you for joining and watching. Um, Leave a comment and let us know if you've seen the finales. What were your thoughts on them? And anything we talked about or brought up. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Um, but yeah, I guess that we'll be wrapping up now. And I want to mention Teresa. Teresa's links are in the description down below. So if you want to check that out and go give her a follow, you should do that. Um, and then also, again, reminder that my book is currently on sale um, on all major platforms, all retailers for 99 cents. So um, if you are writing a disabled character, definitely this would be a good resource to have in your toolbox. Um, and make sure you don't do what they did on organized crime.
Yes, please don't.
So yeah, that is pretty much all I have for today. Do you have any final words, Teresa?
No, I think we kind of covered a lot today. And thanks for having me here to discuss one of my favorite shows, or two of my favorite shows.
Yeah,
So I thank you for that.
yeah, it was great having you on here. I love finding people to talk about shows with, especially Law and Order, because there's usually
Hmm.
a lot that I'm like, did you see what happened? So,
Yes, yes, it's a lot to uncover.
yeah.
And I got my copy of your book yesterday. So if
Oh,
you're listening, guys, if you're watching, go out there and get that book.
yeah. 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 And I guess I will see you guys soon. I am trying to plan on a couple more videos, um, hopefully soon. If not, I will see everyone for the next Right and Diversely um, interview, which I believe will be on, I want to say August 10th, I believe. Have to double check. I want to say it's going to be on August 10th. And it'll be with a, let's see, where did, uh, oh, no, not a, wait, is it? Did I put down? I have to double check that because I think I may have written a different date for myself to make sure I finish prepping and getting everything done on time. Uh, but the actual live stream, I believe, will be on the 10th. But either way, uh, it'll be, I'll post the announcement on my Instagram so you can, anyone who's following that can see when the next live stream is. Um, and we'll be talking about non binary characters.
Oh,
Huh. So
it's
that's
gonna be an
it.
interesting topic.
So that's it for today. I will see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.